Welcome to Behind the Model, a show diving into the virtual world and exploring its stories with the VTubers who lead the way. Let's get this straight from the top. Mika Akatsuka is one of my absolute bestest friends, so expect a little bit of bias here. 2023 marked a big change in his life. Previously VTubing under a different moniker, he underwent a major transformation to better align with his own identity. And since then, it's been onwards and upwards. With innovative content ideas and a handy magical literature club behind him, he is certainly one of the more interesting VTubers you maybe never heard of. And we'll try our best to tell his story in around 30 minutes or so, but no guarantees of no overtime. So Mika, welcome to Behind the Model.
Thank you. You said my name wrong.
Fuck, really?
You said Akatsuka.
Did I really?
Yes. It's Akatsuka.
Akatsuka, yeah.
It's okay. It's because it's as friends, we have funny haha jokes, and one of them is I get called Mika Akatsuka.
I can't
But hello.
Hello. Wow, what a very embarrassing way to start this. Wow, I can't believe you're friends with me now.
I mean, I could leave, but
yeah,
no, we're here now. We may as well stay.
Yeah, look, you are. I want to draw back on the bit at the top where we mentioned the rebrand, because you haven't always looked like this, and this has never been your long-term identity. So can you tell me a little bit about the form that you took when you first started VTubing?
Sure. So I started VTubing back in December 2020, which is, oh my God, it's nearly 3 years ago now. And when I started, I took a character that I had as an original character for many, many years, over a decade. And I used her as my VTuber. So I already knew her personality. I knew her lore. I felt it was something that I was familiar with. So I went with her as a character versus someone that was more aligned to myself, like creating something from scratch that I could build upon.
And when you came into VTubing with that in mind, did you intend to play the character more, considering that she was built within this own universe of yours?
Oh boy. Yes. So she has, like I said, she has very specific lore, and she has very specific way she acts. I actually, when I started VTubing, I didn't even swear, which if you hear me nowadays, is kind of weird to think about. Yeah, she is the type of character that is a very specific way, and I wanted to portray her as her, but as in, like, I guess like an alternate universe version of her, where it's still her, she still had those experiences, but she's also a VTuber. And it made it a little bit difficult because the way her lore is, a lot of it is congruent to writing that myself and a friend have done over the years, and it's stuff that we don't really want to reveal in case in the future we want to do something with that. So there's like little bits of lore that we would give here and there, but we didn't want to give away too much, so I couldn't really build on it, and I couldn't really, I guess, spoiler. I didn't want to give too many spoilers because I wanted people to enjoy her as a character, just as she was, without giving too much of that background. But it did make it difficult because there's like certain things that I couldn't do, there were certain ways I couldn't act, and it limited me because I wanted to be true to her as her character that whole time.
Why did you make that deliberate decision to have your first VTuber be an OC versus it being yourself, in a way?
Back then, I was still pretty new to the VTuber sphere. I'd seen a couple of VTubers around, and I couldn't tell you like the first ones I ever saw. I genuinely don't remember. It wasn't like I really saw any clips in particular that drew me to it. But I had started streaming before, like I think I did like 2 streams. It was just me rolling in Grand Blue for special events. And I always wanted to do streaming, but I didn't want to really show my face. And I saw here and there was people using anime avatars, and I thought that's cool. And the character, because she was something that was so familiar to me, I felt more comfortable going with that. Also because my voice isn't as masculine, it felt like a safer option to avoid people kind of being jerks, I guess. So I kind of went with the safe option, and I went with something that I knew, something I didn't really have to think about. I could just kind of go with what I already had. So it was it was tricky, but that was the thought process I had behind that.
And when did you decide that the safer option was no longer the way to go?
Oh man. So this was over a year ago. It's probably a little bit after my birthday. So March 2022. I was struggling with that sense of being trapped as her and having to do things in her way, which kind of limited the kind of content that I wanted to do. And I guess the kind of way I wanted to interact with people and the way I wanted people to interact with me. I didn't feel comfortable talking to people a lot, be it like online or in like talking with people I'd met through DMs, because it didn't feel like I could be myself enough. And so around that time, I actually contemplated quitting VTubing. Like it was weighing on me that heavily. And then after a while, I kind of just went, you know what? I'm gonna start from scratch. So around, I think it was around May or April that I started contacting some artists after searching for a few months to organize a new model and organize a new design and things like that. I think the original tweet I said, see, I was very sneaky. I put out a tweet talking about a OC character of a particular type, looking for someone to design something for me, and that was how I got hold of Arashi, who did my design for me. And I just obviously kept it very private. It wasn't something that I really talked about. And back then I contacted an artist to do the art, the live 2D art for me. By that point, this was obviously a couple years into VTubing, so I was pretty familiar with all the processes and what to look for, what I wanted specifically. And that artist was not available for several months, so I was like, that's fine. I will organize the design in the meantime, and then when you're open, we'll go ahead. And they said yes. Fast forward to about 6 months later, I showed them the design, and they had done similar like styles of designs in terms of complexity and things like that, and they were fine with it. I mentioned what I wanted, so they're aware. But then they said they didn't want to do it anymore, and that was kind of frustrating because I had waited several months for them, and I ended up looking for a new artist. And I was very disappointed because originally I was supposed to re-debut debut as my new self back in March around my birthday, because I wanted it to be like a big thing. And it took a while, and then I have a lot of friends that I've had for a very long time, and it's the kind of friendship where you can just catch up with them and talk to them, and you don't have to be talking to them every day. And I happen to remember that a really good friend of mine, they did some really beautiful art. I'd commissioned them before over the years, and I was like, hey, Fim, would you like to have a VTuber child? And it was really funny because Fim had said they had seen people ask about it before, but they weren't really interested. But they said yes to me, and I'm very appreciative of that fact.
You're the special child.
I'm probably the only child. I've been told that I'm probably the only child. So Finn put up with me asking for all these things, and they were really excited. And fast forward to June, where I finally got to debut everything. Well, not everything. There's like a couple of things that had to be tweaked, and there's still some stuff that's coming. But overall, it took over a year, and a lot happened in the middle, and it was really hard and like so many setbacks. But I'm so happy that it happened in the end, and a lot has happened since then. So it's been pretty crazy.
How do you see Mika as a character? Is it an extension of an OC? Is it a more better representation of yourself?
How is this? Do you have to censor things? Am I allowed to swear?
You are allowed to swear.
Okay.
I already sweared in like the first 30 seconds.
I don't remember. Okay, so I'm just checking. Okay, so the design is basically a conglomeration of things that I like in anime characters that I would like to fuck. He is hot. I really like it. I looked at it as I want to have a design that I can stare at all the time and be like, yes, I want to see saucy art of you. I want to enjoy looking at you forever. It's like when people make really hot anime girl characters. They're like their protagonist character in like the MMOs, right? Because you're gonna be staring at someone's butt all day. You might as well enjoy it. It's the same thing, except I'm staring at my face and my chest and like everything else.
Yeah. No new toggle, right?
Yes. Oh, do you want me to take off the jacket? I mean, I can.
I mean, you can flex that. There you are. Ooh, nice arms.
Yeah.
I mean,
but yes, basically, I kind of went with something that I personally enjoy, because I have, having been in like fandom for many years now, I wanted something that I could enjoy looking at and I could enjoy getting art of, because I really like commissioning art. I have some art of Jezebel, my original design, that is from like 13 years ago. And I've got, I don't want to think about how much money I've spent on art, but it's a lot. And I really like buying art. So I wanted to get art of a character that I'm going to enjoy staring at a lot. So,
Do you feel less restricted now that you've kind of put Jezebel back on the bench a little bit and back on the back burner?
I do. I mentioned before how like I kind of felt uncomfortable talking to people. I guess I felt uncomfortable being perceived. And now like I'm still not super comfortable with it. I'm working on that. Just from previous things that have happened in my life, it makes it difficult for me to want to be acknowledged in any way. But it's getting better, and it makes me feel happy knowing that I can actually be perceived and enjoy like interacting with people and not feeling like I want to get swallowed up by a hole instead of being like hello, considering that was usually how I felt. Just even like on Twitter, like even saying something on Twitter or like messaging people, it was always that kind of feeling of I'm gonna send something to you and then I'm gonna throw my phone across the room and not look at it for 20 years because I don't want to see if you've replied.
Hey, for the listeners, that's literally how we met.
Oh boy. Yeah.
We won't go into all that detail, but yeah, no, that checks out. So it is like in that case, like a fake it until you make it mentality, where you can almost put all the ideals that you see in yourself into Mika, and then like eventually they'll all come true, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the hope. Fake it till you make it is basically the way I operate. Otherwise I would have given up ages ago.
Is there still a bit of Jezebel and that previous life in Mika?
There is. If you have a look at my earring, it's hard to see at this size, but it has a moon and a star on it. And Jezebel's, one of her main designs on like her clothes were stars and moons, and it was very much like she was a magician's assistant, so those kinds of motifs. And I wanted to keep that as kind of like a nod to her. And I mean, I still love her as a character. She's still very important to me. And I wanted to keep, something of her here to kind of, be able to acknowledge that. So, yeah.
And you alluded to it a little bit earlier, with kinds of the groups of people that you're interacting with in the past. And the one constant through all of that is MLC. And the lovely motley gang that is Zane, Ren.
The cast of goblins.
Oh, yeah. Look, I was trying to be nice, okay?
Look, I've known Zane and Ren for well over 10 years. Like, I've known them for a very long time, and they are constants in my life. They are people who have incredible talents unto themselves and don't believe in themselves. Yes, I understand that I am...
You're deflecting here.
They especially they are just people that I admire a lot and people that inspire me and make me want to do more things and look at how I do my content and how I want to push my own content in other ways. If you don't know Zane Dace, she is currently addicted to Final Fantasy, but she also has an incredible mind when it comes to story writing and planning out on her streams like these really cool special events where it's basically like a live visual novel. And she's done like choose your own adventure things, she's done like murder mystery stuff, and she has like this incredible mind doing all these really crazy things. And Ren is just an amazing artist. Like he has been doing art for so long and animation. When I did my teaser, he actually did an animation for me for Mika, and I kind of bullied him into it. Actually, to be fair, I technically bullied them both into VTubing with me because I felt like it was things that they could do and enjoy. But yeah, Ren is an amazing artist. He does art all the time, and he's also very fast. He is so fast at art, it's kind of scary.
All that practice.
Yeah, I would say so.
What was it like getting into VTubing together with this group of people that you had known for years and years?
I think it was really good. Like it was nice to have people that I already knew just as friends that helped it feel a little bit less lonely. One of the big reasons we decided to be basically like a group, like you see like the indie groups, and it's kind of like that, but not really. For us, it's just we're a group of friends and we do stuff together, versus like some of the really big fancy groups that you see. We're kind of chill, but one of the big reasons is we didn't want to have to manage 3 different Discords for like community stuff. Yeah, and we do so much stuff together anyway that it was just made sense for us to kind of have it as a group and do things together. And like we always make time to actually do a group night together for streaming where we take turns with games, or we do like all 3 POVs type thing. Just so that we can spend that extra time together. As adults, it's very hard to spend time with your friends. So this is like a good excuse for us to actually do it, because we have to put the effort in to make that time.
Did it make getting into VTubing for you a little bit less intimidating? Like, do you think you would have made it to this point if it wasn't for them and their support?
I don't know. I think to a point, yes. But this was kind of something that I looked at, I tried, and I was like, okay, I really want to do this. And I think the environment would probably have been a little bit different. But overall, I think that I still would have been here, and I probably would have gotten them involved anyway, regardless, because it's like such a big part of our lives now. So we're all kind of stuck with each other and stuck with it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And how has it like helped you in terms of expanding your own horizons and having that support through what is a frankly very talented group of people? You mentioned it yourself, but I'll speak to it as well, with like literal decades of experience between you in terms of the work that you guys do. And how has that helped you creatively been able to express yourself in ways that you maybe weren't able to before you started VTubing?
I think one thing that's really good is that because we have such a varied skill set between us, if we want to go and do something, we can go to the others and go, hey, how do I do this? Or, hey, Ren, can I pay you to draw this? Or, hey, Zane, can I pay you to write this thing? Or for me, I usually do a lot of help with like the technical side of things. And I think us having the ability to lean on each other has been like a really good way to push ourselves to be able to do different things, like because we all have very different kind of like base things that we do, but we have resources that we can go to and trust being a big thing, that we can handle on and go forward in this way without having to worry about like I said, the loneliness side of things. We have friends who we can talk to as friends. We have friends we can we can support each other, either monetarily or through like feedback or through suggestions and things like that. Brainstorming, working together on things. Me throwing money at Ren, so me and Zane throwing money at Ren, being like, "Can you draw us this, please?
More art, please.
More art, please." So it's been really good, and I'm very thankful that we have the ability to do that.
What about, like, you spoke a lot about the collective there. What about for yourself?
For myself, I mentioned how like it's like I felt quite like it's like a loneliness thing. I am very much a person who tries to do everything myself, and I am very bad at kind of being able to ask for help. And a lot of the times they will stick their hand up and go, "Hey, let me help you," or "Hey, are you okay? Hey, how are you doing? Like, hey, have you eaten?" You know, like the things that friends will normally do. But it's hard to explain, but it's a little bit more like everyone is very, very close. And I think that probably comes with the fact that we've been friends for a very long time. And I I don't know, it's hard to explain how deep that friendship goes. It's a very core to me. Like, I wouldn't be the same person without either of them, and I think the same, they wouldn't be the same person without me. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your conventions and your convention experience. Because you did Anime Fest this year, you did Anime Fest last year, one with each form. We'll go back to last year first, because you did a pretty big thing last year with the Luxian panel.
Yes.
as the host of that. How did that opportunity come around, and what was it like?
Well, I will say it was terrifying. I've never been in front of that many people before. But so let me kind of go back a little bit further. So actually, a couple years prior, the convention needed help with fundraising because of the pandemic, and they had to cancel that year. And to kind of help with the cost of the cancellation and, you know, hotel concerns and all that, they were doing a fundraiser, and I helped put on a panel for them for that. And they were very, very, very thankful. But more than that, they were actually really impressed with what I put together. It was a pretty simple what is a VTuber kind of panel, because back then, this is going back a couple of years now, right? Back then, VTubing wasn't as popular as it was, and it was definitely not in the wider sphere of things like it is now. So they had a bunch of people who had never heard of VTubers, and they were like, we should get some VTubers to our convention. So they actually formally invited me. And during that time, because I do have, because of my abilities with technology, I also helped out talking with like the tech staff, kind of explaining things, because they didn't have any idea what sort of stuff we needed to be able to operate. This was all done digitally. I didn't go to the convention until this year in person. And then the year after that, they decided to have Luxium as guests. And because of how big Luxium were, they were a little bit worried about that. So they asked me to help with the technology side, to help, you know, because it obviously, like, the technology is a little bit different between like a little indie and like a corporate person. But the general basis of it is there, and the things to look out for were stuff that I could help with. And after talking through and helping with that, they asked me to also be the MC. And that was a lot of fun. The boys were lovely. All of them were fantastic. And I was very stressed because they were very, very big and very, very famous VTubers. And I was this little dude trying to help make sure that they didn't have, you know, see-through eyes whilst on the screen. And it was a great time. I also had never MC'd for anyone else before, especially not in that kind of like more official MC kind of way. So that was all very new for me as well. And I would definitely do it again for sure. It was a lot of fun. And then as part of having been at the convention quite a few times now, the we have panels that we have to do, and I didn't want to do just panels because I like to do experimental things. I like to have fun, and I mentioned it like a previous year that I wanted to do like an escape room type thing. I suggested to them because I really like puzzles, I really like escape rooms, and they said yes, but they kind of said it too late for me to actually make anything. So the next year after that, so Zane was also invited, and I was talking to Zane about it, and we were like, oh, we should do that this year. We should do an escape room together. And that's kind of how that built from there, as one of our like main panel things that we do now.
Can you walk me through how you like the moments preceding getting on stage in front of the hundreds of people that were there for Luxor?
This
is coming as someone who, like, for you, like, this would have been daunting and terrifying to open yourself up in that way.
Oh, it was. It's one thing to see like people in like a chat, right? It's one thing to see people in a chat on a stream. It's another thing to watch like 500 people physically walk into a room and sit down in front of you. I was shitting bricks, to put it mildly. And the thing is too, because I was in control of the back-end system so that I could like, you know, make sure things were kind of working and things like that, I was very scared about pressing anything that would break something. Thankfully, it wasn't me that broke something. Everyone was screaming so much at one point, it actually broke one of the, like some of the equipment, so they had to like middle of the panel, like change things and fix it. But having to think about doing the MC things, making sure that the actual software is working, and then also worrying about wrangling these 5 guys who are very familiar with each other and love to talk and love to hang out, and knowing when to kind of interrupt them and when not to interrupt them was very terrifying, because the one thing I didn't want to have happen was to like go on Twitter later and be like, oh my god, this fucking VTuber, they kept interrupting and they kept cutting off the boys and they were so rude, rah rah rah. Because, you know, like I was like half expecting like a twit logger to be like, oh my god, this person sucks. Thankfully that didn't happen. Thankfully everyone was very kind and very impressed, and the overall reaction was wild. I'd never seen so many notifications. I posted like a thank you post afterwards because it was like amazing. It was amazing to meet them. They're all very lovely. It was amazing to say hello to everyone and hear all the screaming. But yeah, I posted like a thank you afterwards, and my notifications did not survive, to put it mildly.
Yeah. To be expected with Luxium. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I want to now look at the escape rooms, because you brought that up briefly, and I think that is very interesting, because when you see VTubers at conventions, it is usually a rinse and repeat of meet and greets, maybe like an autograph event and panels. What goes into making the escape room side of things for that, and like what prompted that decision in the first place?
So, like I said, I really like puzzles, and I was like, the convention loves me now, so I could probably do this. We like Zane and I were like, we could probably do this, and even if it kind of sucks, we'll be able to work it out, right? So we sat down and said, look, this is what we want to do, and we went to the convention and kind of laid out our plans on how we wanted to do it. It's not a traditional escape room, so obviously there's not a locked room experience where people actually go in and have to like escape the room. It's based on a type of escape room I've seen where it's more paper based. So the puzzles are within like a booklet, and then you have to solve them like at the table, or you have to go around the room. The first year we did it, it was very, very much paper based. This year was a little bit more physical. So we had actual like specific things they had to go and like go find things in different corners of the room, and they had to go like put things up together to overlap them so that they would spell things and things like that. And it's a lot of it in terms of like the actual puzzles. The first year we did we had 2 story routes. So we had my route and then Zane's route. So I did mine based on my character then Jezebel, so it was all very magic themed. It was like magic trick related type things. So I did things where it's like you have to, you know, tilt the paper so that it spells the word by scrunching the actual text together because of the angle of the paper. or things where it's like I had a puzzle where you had to spell out different magicians' names and things like that. Whereas Zane had a lot of really cool literature-related puzzles. And we found that doing that first year, while those were fun, it had to rely a little bit on people's knowledge of certain things. Like I was very, like, here's the thing, I picked all American. I picked American magicians. And I think like they got one. I think they got like Houdini was like the only one people got. But I put like Penn and Teller, I put Houdini, I can't remember the other ones. There was like a couple others. But they didn't know, and we'll realize that it was like, okay, we have to do things that are more intuitive and don't require Google as much. So that's what we changed to this time around to kind of make it more fun. And we did have some problems. Oh boy, did we have some problems. but it's a learning experience, and if we get a chance to do it again, we know what to do next time and what to expect of people next time. So, and it was really popular too. Like it was the most popular panel, apparently. Like you could fit like 160 people all together. And they basically, it was free, but they had like tickets you had to get so that you would show up to it. Yep. And it was basically all gone within within half an hour to an hour of the convention being open.
Wow.
So it was pretty busy. And I'm very glad that the convention did let us do kind of more crazy things. It's a smaller convention, so they kind of have the ability to, I guess, bank on those weirder kind of panels. And there's only so many times I could talk about what a VTuber is. I still had that as a panel, but like I can't do that for 5 panels. And we have a lot of panels we have to do. So like we did some fun ones this year. Like we had a cursed food panel with Girl DM. That was great. Zane and I did that with Girl DM. We had a lot of fun. Some incidents occurred with that in sense of people being shocked by our choices.
I mean, I'm shocked by your choices consistently, but like, yeah.
Hey now. But yeah, like we like to do different things. We don't want to do just a meet and greet. Also, like, to be fair, I don't see myself as someone who's like super crazy popular who would like have lines and lines of people lining up to see me. So I want to do stuff that's actually more creative and stuff that I feel like people can come to even if they don't know who I am, because that way at least then they get to experience something interesting rather than this is a person to see. And for bigger creators, obviously it makes sense to do meet and greets because you want to be able to see your fans. But for me, I was looking at it as I could do something interesting and you don't have to be a fan to know what that is. But maybe you'll become a fan afterwards, who knows? So... And the same with the escape rooms. It was a thing that people can do without having to rely on knowing who we are. Yeah.
Do you think there's more potential for VTubers at conventions to break out of the mold of, hey, I'm just going to wiggle around on a screen, do a panel, maybe there's like a karaoke section, maybe there's some meet and greets, and be a little bit more interactive?
I think so. Like, there's definitely like, we were very busy this year, so I didn't get to see a lot of... Like, I didn't really get to see Zane's panel, so I didn't really get to see mine. But Zane did a mental health and self-awareness panel and talked through, like, some, you know, psychology things to kind of help people, like, with mental health stuff. And that's, you know, it's like having a normal guest doing a panel on something, but they just happen to be a VTuber. And I think that is probably going to be a better way to... overall have VTubers as guests at events, because if they're doing things that are not strictly tied to VTubing, it gives you more opportunity to do things. Like you have a lot of, like, you'll have like artists, right, who go to conventions and they'll have like an art demo. There's like so many artist VTubers that could do that. There's the escape rooms. And like I said, there's only so many times people can hear what a VTuber is. Like, there's only so many ways you can spin that. Like, one year I did one which was, it was done as a quiz. And it's basically, would you survive Australia? And it was like Australian trivia. So they had to, like, what is this? Like, what is the goon of fortune? And, what do you do in like this situation and things like that?
God, it is impossible. Sorry, side note. It is impossible to play Goon of Fortune in Australia anymore. The Hills Hoists are dying.
Well, that's true. I mean, there's probably ways to get around it.
Yeah.
But like, it was like one of those kinds of things, and I think doing not super VTuber focused panels is a really good way to encourage conventions to want to take in guests that are VTubers, even if they're smaller VTubers, because as long as they have content that they can provide, it makes for a fun panel. It's like how we have like there's a lot of voice actors who are VTubers, and they use that, both aspects of that as part of like their convention thing. Like there's like Sayu and there's like Amelie, and I know there's a whole bunch more, but those are the two off the top of my head because I'm familiar with them. And it's interesting to see how that might change, because VTubers at conventions is pretty popular now, especially anime conventions. Like anime conventions and VTubers are basically just here to stay.
Yep.
Basically,
it's no longer an anime convention. It is a VTuber convention.
And it'll be interesting to see how conventions actually utilize these kinds of opportunities, because the thing is too, right? Like, obviously, so for this year for Anime Fest, we actually went in person, which is really cool. Technical, like aspects of society it was very difficult to set up technically in such a short period of time. But if you have digital guests, it does mean it broadens the convention's ability to have different types of guests, to have them from different countries, to have different types of events, and also like, some people are really popular that they just can't afford. But what if they still have them, but as like a digital guest, right? Because digital guests, you don't have to worry about flights, you don't have to worry about accommodation. You can have these guests that have more opportunity to actually do stuff without having to worry about it. Also, like some people can't get leave, like some people have full-time jobs. Time zones are a thing. The years that I've done it where it was digital, I was going to bed at like 8 in the morning for me, and then getting up at like 11 p.m. kind of thing, because that was like the time zone. But it gives you like all these different kinds of opportunities that conventions can do without just like having to rely on physically flying people out all the time, having very specific types of panels. More variety is always good, in my opinion.
And now that we've discussed all these little aspects of your life and your VTubing journey, do you think that VTubing let you open up to the world again?
I think so. So as we've said, I had a different model back then. And part of that was because I wasn't really, out is not the correct word. I was out, being a trans person, but I wasn't really out in VTubing. Like, there was like a couple people, like some friends knew, and I was really unhappy staying with Jezebel. So coming to where I am now and being able to go forwards this way, and be a little bit more open about it is nice. Like for me, I don't want my content to be, oh, I'm a trans guy, I'm going to talk about it all the time, I'm going to educate people, because I personally don't think that I'm the kind of person that would be good for like constantly educating. Like I'll talk about things and I will like, say my opinion or say things that I know about it, but I don't see myself as an educator, and I just want to be another person who can be seen just existing. And back then, the other thing is too, it wasn't as like visible. Like you didn't really see as many trans creators. Like they were probably there, some of them were probably there, but probably not as much. Same with like other parts of the LGBTQI plus community. Like it's hard to see yourself sometimes, and I'm really happy that I can do this as a better me and be more open and actually see people and interact more confidently, and kind of like say silly things without feeling like I am being untrue to myself, and being open and experiencing life in a way that is making me happier. I like being happy. It's hard to achieve, funnily enough, but it's one thing that gives me a little bit of happiness, especially when the real world is kind of awful and it's a little bit difficult to get things you know, the way you want them. And this is one thing that I have control over that I can do. And in saying that, like for my community, I'm very strict about who is allowed in the community. If you're going to be an idiot, then you get kicked out pretty quickly. I manage the space very carefully because I want it to be a space that is safe, even if it's not a space that has a lot of like hardcore education. It's a space that you can come and be and just relax, and we can talk about things. Talking is fine. I just don't want to have to sit there and constantly have to, you know, tell people certain things. And like, I'm sick of acting a certain way. I want to be able to do stuff the way I want to do it.
Has VTubing made you a better person in like the way that you approach real life as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's actually really funny. During my debut, I mentioned one of my fears, one of my dislikes. I dislike public speaking. I'm actually terrified of public speaking. Haha, funny VTuber is scared of speaking, but it's true. And it's actually made it a little bit easier. I am a little bit better at talking and discussing things and being more vocal in how I approach things. And I definitely don't think I would have been able to do that if I hadn't done VTubing.
And you mentioned like Zane, Ren, your friends being a core part of you and a core part of your identity. How much is VTubing now a core part of you?
Oh God, I live, breathe, and sleep VTubing. I had a nightmare before my debut. That
oh wait, I remember this.
I had a nightmare before my debut that I opened up stream and then my VTuber model was gone and it was replaced by a completely different person, and that was just a dream. Like that was just a nightmare. This was like VTubing is in my very like every inch of me. Like it's in my brain. Like I have like VTuber merch that I keep with me at all times. It is very hard to see a life without VTubing, even if not necessarily just like me personally, like you know, one day I might not be a VTuber, but definitely in the community itself, like within VTubing, within the industry, like within fandom, because I'm a big fan of quite a number of other VTubers as well. Everyone is stuck with me, and I'm stuck with them, but I don't mind that. That's okay. I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that.
Well, I wholeheartly relate to taking my VTuber merch everywhere with me, so...
Yes, I rolled my eyes when you sent me that picture of my keychains everywhere.
Yep. And you have to deal with it. Well...
There's one.
Mika, it is a joy to have now had the chance to tell yourself, your story, and yourself, I guess, publicly.
Yeah.
As a little bit of background story without going into too much detail, I did interview Mika back a while ago for a separate project, and that's how we met. And since then, I've learnt so many amazing things about you that I knew would make a brilliant story, and I hope that people can, you know, take this, go sub to you, go follow your stuff, and discover all the cool things you do, because you do amazing stuff in VTubing. So Mika, thank you so much for your time on coming for Behind the Model.
Thank you. I want to say one thing. Sorry, it's actually really funny. So when I originally messaged Ducky, I was like, okay, what about this? And time-wise, and then they were like, oh, what about this? And then I was like, okay, because he mentioned in I think it was NA
ET.
time zone.
Yeah, ET.
Yeah. And I went, oh, okay, well, I'm this time zone. And then he goes, oh wait, you're Aussie too. And then that was the start of the end.
The Aussie connection is a strong one.
It's the Spider-Man pointing meme. It's like, ah,
pretty much, so. Yeah. and look how far we've come. And look at us. Who would have thought?
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, no. Thank you, Mika.
Thank you for having me as well.
Mika Akatsuka, got it right this time, is the latest guest on my new series Behind the Model, diving into the stars who make VTubing the creative medium we love. If you're interested in more of Mika's story, you can read the accompanying article linked in the description. You can also find all of his social media channels below. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you went down there, liked and subscribed as well, and leave a comment if you have any feedback. I read it all, and it all goes to make this show better. Until next time, thank you.